So I wanted to share with you some of the things I've learned about mining in just the past less than a week that I started learning how to do it. I had always heard that cryptocurrency mining wasn't really worth it unless you were dedicated. So if you have some key components that you have to look out for, obviously your hardware. You've got to have newer hardware, high-powered GPUs, big power supplies. All that's getting back to is power. First of all, having the capital to be able to acquire the proper equipment, but having the power draw. If you live in a location where electricity is on the higher side as far as the rates per kilowatt hour, then it doesn't make sense to mine unless you can make it make sense. So it really needs to be a larger scale operation for it to make sense, and you got to watch out for the fees too. In some of the mining operations like Nice Hash. But I decided to focus, and the other thing is GPUs, good new ones, are so hard to get, and they're actually making ones now that to block miners from using them, because gamers have always been upset with miners because they buy all the new GPUs, leaving gamers in a lurch that want to use them for gaming. So, and I understand it, but some of the newer GPU manufacturers now are basically throttling the new GPUs that come out so that you can't mine on them. They've got password protected BIOS that prohibits you from mining on them. And then they're coming out with GPUs that are mining specific. So they're serving both markets, but that's how they're trying to get around all the miners buying the GPUs before the gamers can get to them. But really, I don't see that as being the problem. I see it more of these middlemen that are buying up all the GPUs and selling and marking it up and selling it to everybody. So a new GPU goes on the market and somebody buys 1,000 of them and sells them for 50% higher than what the price should be, that kind of thing, or 100%, 200%, and gouges people. That's a problem. A lot of the places that sell these have limits on orders, quantity limits on orders, but still. So the gamers, I don't think, should be too upset with the miners. I think they should be upset with the scalpers, because I think that's where the problem lies. But anyway, I decided to not try GPU mining. I was actually GPU mining on my Dell Inspiron new laptop, about a $2,500 laptop with a good graphics card on it. But the fan is running so hard and so hot all the time that I'm worried I'm going to burn up that laptop. Even though it was making a decent amount of money. I think it was about anywhere from $3 to $4 a day just on that machine. But I don't want to burn up that machine, and I had always kind of heard that you don't want to mine on a laptop, even if it's a good one, because of the heat problem. Even with the fans running high, if the room gets hot, the machine can't cool down and you can blow it up. So one area that I tried to look at was virtual compute, like Oracle Cloud infrastructure. That doesn't really pay off either, because if you're going to be a CPU miner, which that's what I'm focusing on right now, I'm using XMR and I'm mining Monero. Monero, I'm not even sure. Monero, I think is how you pronounce it. But like I said, I'm pretty new to mining. Virtual instances doesn't work, doesn't pay off unless you can use the free tier and just run miners up until the free tier expires. For Google Cloud, you get $300. So what I'm doing is running 3 VMs. Each of them has 4 cores. I think one of them is AMD, the other 2 are Intel. I'm getting about 1.5 kilohash per second out of each machine. So, 4.5 kilohash per second out of that. And I'll just run down the $300 credit till it's gone. And the nice thing about it, you have to supply your credit card when you sign up for the account. But it's not like once it flips over to paid, you're going to start getting charged. The account gets shut down or gets paused until you elect to upgrade it. So just run the account dry out of the $300 and don't upgrade. So basically, they're giving you $300 free to run 3 VMs 24/7. As long as the machines stay up, I'll get 4.5 kilohash per second around the clock out of just those 3. Mining against Monero. So I don't know how much money that'll get me, not very much, but it's basically free money. It was easy to set up. I should do a tutorial on how to set that up. if you guys are interested, just let me know, and I can do that. It was easy to set up, it's easy to operate, easy to run, and you just set it up once, walk away from it, and forget about it. You just look at, I'm using support XMR pool, so I just go to that dashboard and I can watch how it's mining. If there's a problem, I just log into the instance, restart XM rig or whatever. But really, virtual machine mining isn't where it's at, because you can't turn on some of the features you need in order to really accelerate the hash rate, because you're in a virtual environment. There's a middle tier that's blocking access to the cores in the way that you need them to be accessed with XM rig. So honestly, other than using those credits, I wouldn't even bother with mining. And the Oracle Cloud and the other clouds, they know you're going to do this kind of thing, so they don't let you open a $300 trial and then just create a bare metal instance, 64 cores, AMD 7 Ryzen or something, and just go nuts with it mining. They've got that all blocked off. So what I found with Oracle Cloud is that I could only have 12 cores across 3 machines and 1 availability zone, or whatever their equivalent of an availability zone is. And that's the limit. So I can't go higher than those 3 machines. So I imagine the other clouds are the same. IBM Cloud being one that comes to mind, AWS, of course, GCP, but not really worth bothering unless you feel like screwing around with it. I think the thing to do is invest in low power compute. I think ARM64, I think Apple Silicon M1 is pretty amazing, especially for core miners. I have a Mac 1 Mini, late 2020 model. Mini M1 late 2020. So it has 8 cores on it, and I'm running that one 24/7 with XM rig, and I'm getting like close to 4 kilohash per second, about 3 to 4. Actually closer to 3 now that I think about it, but I love that rig because I'm probably pulling, I would guess, 20 watts out of that entire machine, 20 to 30 watts. So it's like the machine's basically, it's such low power. So these are the RISC chips, RISC. They're faster, they put off less heat, they're cheaper right now. So I'm going to focus on M1. Matter of fact, I thought about buying a handful of minis and mining with them. You can get a mini for $700 entry level, and it's got the M1 chip in there. I think the M1 price is going to come up a little bit. I think it's still entry level for Apple, so that's why they have it priced so low. But that's interesting to me. Low power consumption, but high powered chips. Monero is really the only coin that or currency that makes sense to mine CPU, from what I'm hearing. All the other ones, it just doesn't make sense. So I thought, everybody's out there GPU mining Bitcoin and Ethereum and everything like that, which I could go out there and get gaming machines and hook them up with all sorts of crazy GPUs if I could get my hands on them. But I'm also looking at 1,000 watt power supply, 1,500 watt power supply, and I just don't want to. So then now my power bill is going way up. Another thing you should look at is if you have a power source that is part of maybe a rental agreement that you don't pay the electric bill on, for example, like a co-working space or something like that. If you pay a monthly fee for a place like that, you could set up a rig in your office and draw their power to mine. I mean, you're paying, that's part of your fee, but as long as you don't go crazy with the power, just have a couple of small rigs that aren't consuming a lot of electricity. It's basically probably what they've calculated in your rent is what you would have consumed in electricity. So that's something to consider. GPU, if you start loading up on GPU rigs, your power draw is just going to go up and up and up, and you're going to put off heat like crazy. So unless you're trying to heat your home or wherever it is that you live in the summer, you're not going to want to do that, because then your cooling bill goes up. But in the winter, it maybe makes sense because some of your heat for your home or your dwelling can come from that rig. But there's also a fire hazard too. You got to be careful. You'll burn up these machines and melt them down. You could start fires very easily, especially if you're using second-rate equipment, used equipment that has problems. You can start a fire, so you've got to be really careful. Cooling is essential. So anyway, I've been spending about 5 days, maybe about a week now, studying mining and just crypto in general, and that's where I'm at in a week's time. I'm mining. I'm not making a ton of money, but I've figured it out. I'm still figuring out a lot of things, but I see the cost-benefit analysis. I've done the cost-benefit analysis, and I can kind of see where there's some opportunity there. I'm thinking about, IBM ThinkCenter, like an M75S, a small form factor machine with the AMD Ryzen 7 in it. I could get, again, probably looking at about 10 kilohash per second. So you're looking at maybe $30 a month mining Monero. So you wouldn't pay it off very quickly at all. But so what about taking old machines and just running, if you got old laptops or old desktops, sure, you're not going to get a good hash rate out of them. But if they're just sitting around doing nothing, why not hook them up with XMR and just let them run? If anything, it's going to amplify your hash rate and maybe get you a couple of dollars. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Monero mining and CPU mining in general. I think XMR is a great program, really fantastic. So hats off to the developers of that program. It's solid. And free ways to mine for a while on a free trial in a cloud like Oracle Cloud. It's worth trying, I think, just to get your feet wet. And let me know what you're doing. Leave comments in the comments section below. I'm interested to see if you've tried cloud mining, how it's gone for you, and anything else you'd like to discuss. Thanks for watching.